Graham, Steve Martin, Robin Williams. We used to joke, the understudies and I used to joke that we were in the room with about $35 million worth of comedian. It was the wildest group of people. Waiting for Godot was an unusual step for everybody involved. Everyone had to lose all their different styles and master new ones.
What are you doing?
Taking off my boot. That never happened to you.
Boots must be taken off every day. I'm tired telling you that. Why don't you listen to me?
Help me.
It hurts.
Hurts. He wants to know if it hurts.
No one ever suffers but you. I don't count. I'd like to hear what you...
It's a great play. A century with 2 major world wars, 2 atomic bombs. The idea of, what does your life mean after, the devastation of major continents? How do you go on after that? What's it like?
Oh, what did we do yesterday?
What did we do yesterday?
Yes?
Nothing is certain when you're about.
In my opinion, we were here.
And I think he wanted it to be done by comics because he said that not only do they know funny, they know sad.
Must have been a very fine hat. Here, what? Hold it. Ooh.
It's like Abbott and Costello in hell. I play a character ironically named Lucky. Lucky is a broken down servant who once used to be a great singer and dancer, and now he's on the end of a rope. A lot of your job with Lucky is to figure out how you relate, just first and foremost, to the feel of the rope.
Given the existence as uttered forth in the public works of Puncher and Watman, of a personal God.
And then, of course, to tackle Lucky's famously long stream of consciousness monologue.
Outside time, without extension, who from the heights of divine...
It's a 15-minute rant. It's a long piece.
That man in Essie, that man in shorts, that man in brief, in spite of the strides of alimentation and defecation, is seen to waste and pine.
It's like saying, okay, you're going to uncharted territory. Good luck. There's no punctuation. Good luck.
But what other facts are there, and considering what is much more grave than in the light of the lost of Steinweg and Peterman, it appears what is much more grave than in the light of the neighbors lost of Steinweg and Peterman, that in the plains, in the mountains, by the seas, by the rivers,
It was interesting to see him, who I'd known as being pretty nonverbal, being so verbal.
You're out!
For me, that was kind of like, whoa, there's another chop, another skill.
The skull together! The skull in Connemara!
Waiting for Godot is a Mount Everest of a play. Boy, it's almost like wrestling in the mud with an angel.
In spite of the unfinished...
In 1993, Bill Irwin and David Shiner did a 2-man show on Broadway called Full Moon.
Full Moon was a Broadway piece. And on day 1, people thought the producer was crazy.
I had a terrible time finding backers. They just didn't get it. They couldn't understand how you could put 2 clowns on a stage and people would come see it. But what I saw was a show that should go to Broadway.
I had a kind of basic faith. Because I knew David Shiner could hold a Broadway crowd
even just looking for a seat.
The mix of these two guys makes for sparks.
You think of any of the great double acts through comic history, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. In true essence of comedy, you had this sense of opposition.
Well, Shiner and I developed this bit that we called the encounter. Just two businessmen waiting for a train. It's a show with lots of language, just no spoken words.
Very unusual that a silent show would be such a hit.
Full Moon was really not only a more straight-ahead Broadway show, but it was a straight-ahead Broadway commercial success. Actually made some money on Broadway, and we reprised it 2 more times in a Broadway run, and took it to Europe and took it to the West Coast. From this point forward, it's always a conversation about the geriatric version of Full Moon, because there's a big question of whether we could physically do it now and do it justice, and that's a medical question. What is spending your life on stage? What does that mean? I remember saying 20 years ago, on stage is where you live most fully. But is that purely a celebration of ego because there are lots of eyes on you? Part of the impetus within middle age is to question that. It requires new examination and new places to go as a performer and as a writer. I'm 54, heading toward 55 years old. I'm not sure I will think of myself as a clown all my life. You know, maybe at some point, maybe you have to think of yourself as a former clown or a retired clown or once clown. You wake up certain days and you think, ooh, I feel kind of playful, and I feel some of the old spark. Another day you'll wake up and think, you know, I can't get at that playfulness as a physical performer in quite the same way, so I want to get at that playfulness on the page as a writer.
Well, in line with that, and I don't know whether this is writer or actor speaking or Bill speaking, but
I had to confront myself as a writer when Jim Houghton gave me this invitation to be the playwright in residence at the Signature Theater.
yeah, and that's the place.
And it's the second.
I've always wanted to do a Bill Irwin season. Bill Irwin is a storyteller of the deepest and richest kind.
What we're at work on right now is this piece, Mr. Fox, A Rumination. Mr. Fox definitely is a departure for me. George Fox was historically sort of a superstar performer in the 19th century.
He was the first celebrity clown in America, a very, very wealthy man who lost most of his money and really had sort of a disastrous life ultimately. He went insane, lived in an asylum for the last 2 years of his life.
George Washington Lafayette Fox may have made up his face, whitened it for the pantomime some 5,000 times or more.
Not only is this a biographical portrait of Fox, but to a certain extent, it's secretly, not so secretly, an autobiographical portrait of Bill Irwin.
When I was a young clown with the Pickle Family Circus and putting on white-face makeup daily, his story had a compelling resonance with me. I remember thinking, this stuff that I put on is so essential to my transformation, but the need to put it on and scrape it off. It was a love-hate relationship, and it drew me to Fox's story. Legacy, heritage, somehow really central to this need that I feel to make a play about Fox's life and my life and how they hit on each other.
We owe a great debt to all the comic performers that have come before us, which is what Mr. Fox is about. A lot of it.
Come aboard, madam, come aboard.
After working together on and off, knowing each other for almost 30 years, I asked Jeff if he would join the cast of Mr. Fox. We'll be playing brothers together.
Bill and Jeff go way back to the Pickle Family Circus in San Francisco.
Okay, ready, set.
We have kept in touch, but we haven't necessarily worked together frequently.
Let me take a lovely bow like that. There, you ready? Yes, sir.
But that vocabulary is there, and we go right into it very, very, very easily. The crucial thing that always is important to me when I work with Bill is that we make each other laugh. He cracks me up, and I can crack him up. It's the bottom line.
And indeed, some of the strongest laughs in the evening come from certain signature bits that Jeff does.